I should change my shirt, but not on camera. uh, Sorry to the two people that wanted that. Okay. Hey, I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad that I got my shirt on, the right way this time. Anyways, I hope that you watched the first two videos in this little three-parter series. I had these ideas late at night, and I hope that they worked out. They came out okay. Yeah, just thanks for the support. So this year, I had these ideas of how perfect certain things could be, and they fell flat. I built these ideas up in my mind about how good seeing a certain movie would be with my family. I was showing them how good, prom, graduation, the NBA finals, my tight group of friends, the start of college, the end of my first semester. I had these ideas of what they were going to be in my mind. And we're not saying that all of these fell flat, but they all just went differently than how I originally imagined them in my head. And this year was the year that I was counting down to since elementary school. I actually remember sitting in the computer lab in third grade. I was sitting next to a kid named Nick. Anyways, I could still take you to that room in my elementary school where I was sitting. I could show you where I was sitting if it's still set up that way. And I remember asking my teacher, what is that number next to my name? Like when I log in to the computer, what does that number mean? 22. And she said, that's the year that you graduate. And, it's obvious that that memory stuck with me because, I subconsciously counted down to this year, Big 22. My favorite team, NBA team, went to the finals this year. Didn't quite make it, but that's okay. It is still big. It's a big year. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. This year meant a lot because I never attached a number to a year, to an event or anything until I thought of 2022. And certainly now I don't really attach a year to anything except for college graduation now, but just 22. This year was the furthest away I could see for all my life. And now it becomes the past, which is so weird to think about, to wrap my head around. I had many firsts this year, and last year, but mostly this year. And I just realized, especially this year, how quickly firsts become history. It's taken me a lot of growth to actually understand that the way that I do now. And yeah, growth. This year has expanded me like crazy. Growth and overcoming. Experimenting and finding out what works for me in my life. And I'm young, so I can do that. And I'm very blessed and grateful for so many things in my life. But I've just understood what growth even more than ever because of college and because of graduation, of what that really means. And I hope that I continue to. It just feels like for some reason every year gets harder, but that doesn't mean that it's not better. Sometimes I'm getting into it. Sometimes it feels like life has no meaning at all. We're just floating through, trying to all figure it out. And sometimes the heartbreak and confusion can make me feel more alive. Like, why do I look back to the times this year and before that, but especially this year? Why do I look back at the times when I was crying on my mama's shoulder and for some reason missed that? It's crazy. I was reading in this comic book, Kingdom Come, and a character tells Superman, of all the things that you can do, of all your powers, the greatest has always been your instinctive knowledge of right and wrong. It was a gift of your own humanity. When I was little, people all the time would tell me how smiley I was. They still do, but especially when I was little. And I remember in 4th grade, I remember where I was standing. I was standing in line, And this kid, I couldn't tell you his name, but I know his face. He smiled at me, and I smiled at him, but he told me that I smiled so much that it was kind of creepy. But because of experiences like that growing up, through middle school and high school, I carried a weight on my shoulders, telling myself that I always had to be the guy and trying to lift others up. And, of course I still do carry that weight. But yeah, yesterday when I got this book, I was at Barnes & Noble with my family, and I saw a rusty car. Kind of a disgusting car, but it had a bumper sticker on it that said, "It's okay to not be okay." And that car was not okay. But now, for some reason, that stuck with me. And it's extremely important. It's okay to not be okay. If you're rusted, it's okay to not be okay. And I realized this year, mental health has a lot of gray. It's not as black and white as fourth grade Cash used to believe. Like, how NBA players can be depressed? Yeah, it's a real thing. I see on Twitter and Instagram peasants like me, not saying that I say this, but people like me are wondering, commenting to them saying, "How are you depressed? You're a millionaire." And I realized that it's completely relative and situational. Your mental health does depend on so many things, so many situations. And 2022 taught me that you never know where someone can be mentally, and we all have these ideas of what something can or will be, and when it isn't what you hope for, it can be hard and it can take a toll on you. A few years ago, I went to Baltimore with my family on a little trip, and I saw these giant words written on what looked like a warehouse, and the words read, "What is and what can be." And that is incredibly simple, but I'm still thinking about it, and I've thought about it like every day. It's just that for some reason is such a random thing. Just me riding in the car, and I look at a sign. Why did "what is and what can be" stick with me so hard? It's just like many experiences and sayings have been drilled into me, that one stuck more than anything. Of course, I saw that in 2019 before the world ended, and I had this idea of what 2020 was going to be, what is and what can be. And the world completely changed, and I had a positive expectation of what the 2020s as a whole decade could be. And this year I had many hopeful expectations for what could be. And just like the unexpected events of the past few years, my world has completely changed. But this shining silver lining for me is that through it all, even if your what can be looks different than what you originally hoped for, all that you can manage to do is deal with the cards that you've been dealt. I'm learning to get better at recognizing my hopes are still achievable, and that it's a good thing that my dreams can look entirely different than what my past self's dreams did. That was a lot to eat, man. There's a lot for me to spit out. I don't know. I could go on. Thanks. I don't know why I did that.